Let's kick everything. Secure access architecture. And what I'm going to do this morning is really just give you a quick introduction to exclusive networks and then jump straight into the actual wireless side of things. So for those who are not familiar with exclusive networks, we're a value-added distributor looking to change a few things. I actually work for, as I say, exclusive networks. We deal with the cybersecurity side of everything. We also have a big tech group that looks at converged computing, high-end storage, high-speed storage, things like Nutanix, and data center transformation. So also looking at monitoring virtual environments, cloud-type environments as well. We also have our financing and leasing group, and I'll talk a little bit more on that separately. And then we have some global logistics and global services. iTech was an acquisition by Fortinet a little bit over 2 years ago. Part of that acquisition has enabled us to actually do logistics in terms of distributing equipment all around the world. So, for example, we did a deal with a company, a retailer last year, and part of that was actually distribute units into some 90-odd different countries where iTech got involved in actually racking them up, loading them all up and getting them to the different locations, so all the logistics, and then we centrally managed and control that from the UK. So it doesn't matter where your customers are in the world, we can certainly get involved in helping out in terms of the logistics side of things. In terms of where we are, we're about 1,400 people across the globe, predominantly in Europe, North Africa, Middle East, but we recently did an acquisition out into Asia Pacific as well, with the Philippines, Thailand, etc. Coming into the group as well. So we also cover everything out on that side of the world as well. Here in the UK, about 150 people. We also do first, second line support from our offices down in Alton as well as part of that. I mentioned that we're a value-added distributor. So what do we actually do? We get involved with partners in terms of demand creation, marketing. We do pre-sales as well. So I know we've got Chris on the call today, and we've got one of the guys actually doing one of the technical sessions later on as well. We have a load of equipment for POCs. So if you have a requirement for running a proof of concept or a CTAP or anything like that with a customer, we've got equipment here. We've got about just over 60 units in our loan pool that is available to partners in terms of doing POCs as well. And as I said, we get involved in logistics, warehousing, and finance as well. I mentioned exclusive capital, just very briefly. So exclusive capital is there to help in terms of financing and financial services. We can finance any product, and it doesn't have to just be an exclusive networks product. So we've got involved, for example, in large projects where the actual, for example, Fortinet component of that has been no more than about 15% of the overall deal, but there's been some switching, some other infrastructure products, software going in, and the financing team, the exclusive capital team, have been directly involved in doing that. So if that's a requirement, it's something we can certainly do. We even get involved in it in terms of short-term financing. So someone needs to finance something for 3 months, 6 months, we can do that type of thing as well to help them get something going and get something sorted out in terms of their budgets and that as well. Yeah, it's there. It's a service that's available to you. We can also use it to help in terms of driving bigger deal sizes, so multi-year deals. And as I said, we've got involved with another partner recently. The end customer was going to do a project Year 1 they were going to do one part of that project, year 2 a second component, year 3 to complete the project. What they did is, in terms of looking at it from a financial aspect, we came up with a financing option for them in such a manner that they actually did the whole infrastructure implementation in year 1. It's been actually just being completed now, so it was a 4 or 5 month project to complete it, and they will actually pay for that over the next 3 years. So their budgets, they're actually able to use that and bring that into their budgets over the next 3 years as well. So something that's available to you guys out there as well. In terms of exclusive networks and Fortinet, we've been a partner with Fortinet and distributing for Fortinet since 2006. We've won various Distributor of the Year awards with them, and we also provide, as I mentioned earlier on briefly, level 1 and 2 support. So we've got a full 24/7 lights on support center. It's available to you. If you have a customer and the customer doesn't have to have a 24/7 contract, we can actually provide support for you and your customers out there. So you can call in 24/7 and we will actually take the call, attempt to resolve it, and we probably resolve somewhere in the region of about 75 to 80% of those calls. The others we pass back on to Fortinet, but we're able to do escalations and things like that within that. We're also an authorized training center, and I mentioned about the loan pools that we have as well. So in terms of Fortinet and the secure access architecture, so what I'm going to cover is a little bit of background into Fortinet, their vision, the mobility trends as well. I will touch on the actual and go through the actual offerings around the wireless, around the secure access solutions, and then I'll show you some case studies, finish off with some training and some of the promotions that we've got on the go as well. So Fortinet's vision, it's all geared around the Fortinet security fabric. It's something that they've been developing over a number of years. It effectively, what it entails is providing a security overlay or security from everything from the Internet of Things right through into your cloud service as well. So, and it also enables you to communicate across those platforms as well. So if we pick up a threat on a client device, someone's been at the office, we pick up a threat on a client device, we can actually identify that threat, we can share that around within the network, both within your own network, so across your FortiGate units, your email, etc., and also it shares it back out into the FortiGuard services as well. It's a very broad. It's also about automation and automating that response to those threats coming into your centers. And when you look at some of the FortiGate, for example, the actual FortiGate GUIs these days, you can actually see the components that make up your network and the actual security fabric that you, as you start to build that up. It also allows us to integrate in through APIs into various other security products out there. So we also do things with people like Bit9, Tufin, and also the various logging and reporting people as well. And we talk about powerful. So the FortiGate units is built around the FortiGate ASICs, and that's something Fortinet are carrying on developing and growing as well. So when we look at the actual market for wireless, and we start looking at where it all fits in together, it's been a growing market, and it's growing to be just short of 32 or 33 billion dollars. So it's a significant market. And what Fortinet have done is they've looked at the market and the growth areas. And when you look at it, wireless is the largest, second biggest revenue stream for Fortinet. And hence Fortinet went out in 2015. They acquired Maru Networks, which is part of the infrastructure product that I'm going to be talking about this morning. They also last year acquired Excelops on the SIEM side, because they see that as another growth area. And that's where the focus has been. So Fortinet will continue to grow the security side element of that, and also looking at the wireless side as well. It's not just about wireless, it's about security. Everyone wants to be connected. You only have to walk down the road. You walk into a Starbucks, we walk in there, we expect to be connected if we go in there and utilize, you can buy a cup of coffee and sit down and want to do a bit of work with them. And when you look at some of the other things that are going on in terms of the amount of data that was being collected as well, and I was absolutely amazed to look at a few things the other day. There is 1 billion files being uploaded to Dropbox every single day. There are 300 million videos being uploaded to YouTube. Sorry, 300,000 hours, I meant to say, of video being uploaded to YouTube every hour. So it's significant, and the data figures are just phenomenal that are going on. So we expect to be connected, we expect to be out there, and we expect to be connected anywhere, anyhow, at any time. This is just some examples. When you walk into a shopping center, you expect to be connected in through the wireless. And even Waikiki Beach has actually got wireless on it. So when you're sitting down there sunning yourself, if you're so inclined, you could actually go on and wirelessly connect onto the internet. And Mount Fuji, I was talking to someone the other week, and they were saying Mount Fuji has got free wireless, and if you're going up to base camp in Mount Everest as well now, there's wireless up there. I believe there is a cost associated with that in terms of utilization, and it's not cheap either. So if we look out, what all the needs are in terms of what we're trying to do and where we fit in with wireless, there's a requirement in places like universities, when we've got events on the go. So if you've got a large venue, we've got IP Expo coming up, those types of things. We've got high density, high number of users. We have a requirement to fit into those environments. We go into other areas, banking, warehousing, and warehousing is quite unique when it looks at when you start looking at trying to get wireless into a carpeting warehouse, which I've been involved with some time ago. People expect, or customers expect, to have that wireless capabilities in those environments and for it to work. So when they're going in, they've got their scanners. They expect to be able to use it as they move around in those environments. And to give you an example, I was in a large do-it-yourself store last week, picked up an item, couldn't see the price on it. I stopped a guy in the aisle, one of the store guys, had a chat to him. He had a handheld device, pointed it at it, scanned it, it went beep. 10 seconds later, it pulled off the price, and he could tell me what the price was. So we expect to be connected in those environments all the time. Right down to myself, sitting in my office, doing as a teleworker. So we've got different requirements across that in terms of the architectures. But one thing is quite common is we do need to make sure that we've got the security in place. So it doesn't matter whether I'm in a university campus, whether I'm a bank or a call center, an office such as I'm in today, or a teleworker working from home, we expect a common security landscape. We expect to have security as part and parcel of what was actually being delivered there as well. So when we look at that, our expectations on the rise. We've got device growth. We naturally, everything we're doing is wirelessly connected. And if you look at the applications, etc., across there. And from a user point of view, I expect it to be seamless. I walk in, I connect my device when I walk into the office in the morning. Whether I was plugging it into a wired network or whether I'm actually connecting wirelessly, I expect it to be seamless. I walk out, I walk into home, I connect or open my laptop up, I fire it up. I expect to just be able to connect into that environment. And this is where Fortinet have looked at what the requirements are. We expect to have access, but at the same time, we need that security in place. And what Fortinet have done is looked at how they can tightly couple the access and the security together to make it so that we're actually providing that secure access and connectivity out there. So when we look at the landscape and we look at some of the players out there, we've got the Cisco's, the Aruba, the Ruckuses. They're providing effectively controller-based products out there, dealing with the high-end requirements, high density. We've got the integrated, so the likes of the WatchGuard, Sonic Walls, who I've had something to do with for a number of years. We've got an integrated wireless offering as well. And then we've got the cloud players out there as well. So there's no one size fits all, and that even runs across when we talk about that with Fortinet. So Fortinet have looked at that, and what I'm going to be covering covers that whole landscape of products. So we've got solutions, wireless capabilities, and the security that fits across all those environments. So how does Fortinet provide that secure access? So when we look at it and we look at the different platforms, and it is a platform base of looking at what the requirements are, what your customer requirement is, and where it fits in, we've got the integrated solution. So this is where we've got the FortiGate with the actual security appliance, the UTM capabilities with the built-in wireless functions. It's a switch. We can add switches onto that as well. And what we're effectively doing is taking access points, connecting those access points into the FortiGate to provide a full wireless, secure wireless infrastructure. We've also got the cloud managed, so we can take an access point, literally just install it, plug it in, connect it onto the internet, let it connect up to the cloud service, and we can then pull down the profiles from that. We can configure it, set up the SSIDs on that access point, and the security features on there as well. So we want intrusion prevention, we want web filtering, we want the antivirus. We can actually do that and run that all through the actual access point. So providing a secure access point in there. And then we've got the controller-based or the infrastructure product, where it's a dedicated controller. And this is where Fortinet acquired the Maru networks, and they've carried on developing those technologies as well. And again, it's an actual controller that's used to manage that environment with the access points connecting onto there. And I'm going to talk about these in a little bit more detail. So, as I said, one solution does not fit all. So we've got the integrated solution. It's part and parcel mixed in with a FortiGate unit, and it is very closely tied in with the security fabric. We've got the cloud that I was talking about, where we actually take the actual access point, provide all the security, provide all the fabric into that environment, and take it right to the edge, where the actual access point itself has got the security built into the access point. And then we've got the controller. So it's really around specialized requirements, high density, high throughput, whereby we can set that up, build up what you need in terms of connectivity, and then that connects back into the security fabric as a single entity. We've also got the access points, so we've got a whole ream of access points. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on access points today, but we've got access points that fit in with the integrated cloud, with also the cloud-based side of things, and then we've got the controller-based access points. And you may have also heard about Fortinet's universal access point. So that's been released. It's currently usable within the controller-based environment, and with the release of FortiOS 5.6 that's imminent, you'll actually be able to use that within the integrated environment as well. And shortly thereafter, you can also be able to plug that into the cloud service and do that within the cloud environment. And any of the existing FortiGate or Fortinet access points will have something like a FAP221C that you can use on a FortiGate controller, is actually able to be used within the cloud environment as well. And I've got customers doing that where they're using some of those access points and managing those off of the cloud environment. And Fortinet are continuing to develop their services, continuing to develop their and on the controller-based environment. But you know, for things like multi-domain authentication, we can actually have a FortiAuthenticator, highly scalable authentication platform, and we can do some things in there such as two-factor authentication, certificate management as well, as part of that, token support. So you can have tokens within your environments as well, and we can actually use that and manage that through some of the FortiAuthenticator services as well. And then we've got the whole management side of things. So I've mentioned briefly FortiCloud. I did FortiCloud last month when we went through something on FortiCloud specifically. So FortiCloud is a management platform. It allows us to actually do the deployment and the actual setting up of the access points and of FortiGates. We can manage FortiGates through FortiCloud as well. We also have FortiManager with its capabilities of managing multiple FortiGate units out there, and also providing some analysis and reporting. So we can do the detailed reporting, who accessed what, when, and how. And that runs across all the offerings. So whether you're using an integrated, whether you're using the controller-based, the infrastructure product, or the cloud-based, we can report on all the users, who's accessing what, when, and how, produce that reporting off the back end of that as well. So when we look at the products, as I said, no single solution necessarily fits all. So it's about looking at what the customer requirements are. So when you're going in and you're looking at the infrastructure product, it is very much around high throughput, high density type environments. So things like the educational market has been a very large user of the infrastructure product, where you've got schools, a university campus, hospital type environments, large number of users, large density of devices, and needing to ensure that you can actually provide that service. And things like VoIP services. If you've got VoIP services in a high density type environment, it can be prone to problems, hence the infrastructure product with its uniqueness around that, and I'll touch base on, is able to deal with those types of environments. And then we've got the enterprise, and some of these solutions, they do overlap. So for example, within the integrated environment, we can actually fit and we have a cross run of some of the actual implementations. So for example, I have an NHS foundation. They've put the infrastructure product in a couple of their hospitals, but they put the integrated solution in on some of their other environments, whereby they're actually using the FortiGate to manage access points, especially where they've got some of the odd sites that they've got as well. And then they've also used cloud access points. So what they've done is they've got, literally it is a house, it's a drug rehabilitation center. They've used cloud access points in those areas to provide the connectivity, and they have a duty of care, so they're making sure that all the security elements are provided within that as well. So we need to understand what the customer requirements are, what we're doing, and we can fit those different solutions into those environments. So what I'm going to do is just run through very quickly through the three key areas and some of the uniquenesses in those as well. So and to start off with, I'm going to talk a little bit around the infrastructure product. So this is the original Maru product, which was originally the Maru product that Fortinet acquired. So how the infrastructure product works is a device connecting into the network itself. Once it actually connects into the network, it does not control what it connects to. It does not control what access point it connects to. the actual controller manages the device. So as the device roams through the network, the controller will actually deal with handing off from one access point to another within that environment. So the actual endpoint device, the laptop, the mobile phone, mobile device, tablet, etc., actually just sees one large network, and it actually doesn't see the individual access points. And this means that the controller can do some clever things. It can actually do things like load balancing. So if we've got an access point that's heavily loaded, it can actually reconnect that device to a different access point without the device even knowing, and actually allow it to route its traffic through an alternative access point. And when you look at things like a large campus with something like a communal canteen area or something like that, with a high density of individuals, you can put 4 or 5 access points within those areas, and the actual controller will manage which access point those users connect to. They also got some other clever things in there. They do things like air traffic control. What we mean by that is at the wireless level, we actually control how the devices actually connect within those environments as well. And this gives us the ability to actually control how those devices connect. And then we've got airtime fairness. So if you've dealt with wireless over a number of years, if you've got an 802.11a type device, it runs very slow naturally. And what airtime fairness does is it gives every device in the network the ability to transmit only within a given period of time. So your AC device will run at AC speeds. It won't slow down to the slowest device in the network. And air traffic control in conjunction with that, because air traffic control reduces the collisions, it actually determines when a device can transmit. It actually can control the time frame and the time window that any devices in that network have to transmit to an access point as well. So we're actually managing, the controller is actually managing the total environment under the infrastructure product. So any devices entering, so for example, if you think about an office block, a device comes in through the front door, it's walking down a hallway, the actual controller manages which access point the device connects to as that device moves through the network. And it determines how much time it can actually transmit for as well, based on how many devices are connected to that access point as well. So it's controlling all aspects of the actual device and its connectivity within that wireless network. And that's what makes the infrastructure product unique and why it's been so successful in the educational market and NHS, where you've got high density of users, because we're actually managing and controlling what those devices can actually do within that wireless network. The other thing that's unique to the infrastructure product is the virtual cell technology. You can configure it as a multi-channel. However, you don't get the advantages of some of the capabilities within a multi-channel environment. So the virtual cell simplifies that. And what the virtual cell does is it puts all the access points on the same channel. Because the controller manages which access point the device connects to, there is no channel conflict or anything else within that environment. So the actual controller manages which access point the device connects to. It knows which is the best one for it to connect to, and it manages that whole virtual cell environment. That means from a single channel, we can maximize all the transmission and all the throughput capabilities on that. We can also do channel layering. So what that means is we could have a single cell, for example, within a hospital environment where we're only allowing critical systems onto that. We can actually know where any interference is within that network, the best channel to put that virtual cell on, and we can make sure that it's providing and it's only dedicated to critical systems. So things like heart monitors, drug dispensers, cardiovascular machines, etc. So you can actually put all those on its own virtual cell environment. And then what you can do is put data services on a separate virtual cell. And we've got hospitals that have actually implemented this in that manner as well. As I said, that is unique to the infrastructure product. How it's actually run, how it's managed. So you've got your access points. They connect through a switch. Can actually route that traffic back out through a FortiGate, providing all the security services within that environment. And as I said, the controllers providing the air traffic control, airtime fairness, and the single channel architecture across those access points. This is not all the access points. There have been some upgrades to this. There is now the universal access point as well. As I said, I'm not going to go through a lot of detail on the actual access points. We can certainly get into that as you find opportunities and need to discuss that, and looking at what the requirements are for those. We've got various different controllers. So these are the new controllers that Fortinet brought out to replace, particularly to replace some of the older Maru controllers out there. So we've got the FWC50, the 200D, the 500D, the 1000D, etc. And you'll notice that the number determines how many access points the actual controller can monitor. However, you do need to be aware that something like a 50D, while it can manage 50 access points, it can only manage about 1,250 physical devices in the network. So for example, in some of the school environments that we've gone into, we may have 45 access points connected to that controller, but what we've actually found is we do need to put in the higher end controller because we've got, for example, 2,500 devices connecting into that network simultaneously. So we do need to look at and understand how many users or how many devices we're expected to connect up to those networks at any point in time as well. And the other thing to be aware of that has changed with the Fortinet wireless LAN controllers is that there is no need to do additional licensing on them. So you buy the controller, all the licensing is on there. You don't need to do any of the licensing on there. So if you've got customers that have got the old Maru controllers, we can upgrade them. It saves them having to renew the licensing on that. And if they can get their older controllers up to the current System Director 8.2, we can actually remove the need to do any renewing of the licensing on the older controllers as well. And we've got some service appliances out there to manage multiple controllers within those environments as well. We've then got the integrated solution. This is a lot more people are familiar with. So the integrated solution is where we've got the actual FortiGates units and the UTM functionality, and we're effectively connecting an access point onto that and using the FortiGate to actually provide the wireless management and the controller for the wireless access points. Again, we've got a number of different of access points in that environment as well. The key thing here is that you're actually managing the FortiGate unit and the actual wireless through the same pane of glass. You can have multiple SSIDs in there. You've got all the security facilities in there, and you can do things like have the captive portal. So you're providing a complete wireless environment using the FortiGate and the wireless controller within that FortiGate. And that also means that we can very tightly couple together the security and the access controller as well, and linking that in with the FortiGuard services. So the IPS, the AV, etc., for any users connecting into that environment. And it does the usual thing with wireless, so we can detect rogue APs, we can do WIDs, and we have, as I said, the integrated captive portal environment as well. How this, the actual deployment scenario, similar to the integrated, to the infrastructure, But with the integrated one, we pull the controller out, and the controller is in fact the FortiGate unit. So the FortiGate unit is providing all the management, and it's providing the control of those access points as well. And we then doing all the security elements and passing that data back out into the internet or back out into the outside world. As I said, there is a number of different different access points. The thing to remember is that the FortiGate unit determines how many access points you can actually put into the network, and you also have to obviously be looking at how many devices are connecting into that environment, because you are going to be utilizing the FortiGate unit for doing its antivirus and UTM functionality, IPS, etc. within that. And we've got a whole flavor of access points out there, and again, some of these have been recently been upgraded as well or changed within the product portfolio too. In terms of the controllers, as I said, yes, there are a number of them out there. So something like a 60D can handle 5 to 10 access points, depending on how they're actually being connected. We start going up to the 200D or 200E, where we can start connecting 30 odd access points on, etc. So it depends on the size of the actual FortiGate, the number of access points on there, and of course we need to make sure that the FortiGate unit is sized appropriately as well. The other thing is with the FortiGate side, you actually have the FortiGate. It's got the capabilities of actually managing itself. You can actually manage it directly through the GUI, but we've also got the capabilities of doing centralized management and reporting as well through things like FortiManager. So we can do management of multiple FortiGate units. I mentioned earlier on about the retailer who deployed about 190 units across 90 different countries. They're using FortiManager to actually manage all those FortiGate units, and in fact manage the wireless units that connect to those FortiGate units as well. And then we've also got part of FortiManage can do a certain amount of reporting as well. But if you've got a requirement to extend the logs, hold them for multiple years, etc., do extensive reporting, we have the FortiAnalyzer capable of actually providing that service as well. And the other thing is that I mentioned earlier on is the FortiCloud. So with FortiCloud, it enables you to manage the 40 access points, the FortiGates as well. So you can actually go in and manage FortiGate units through the FortiCloud, and it gives you that capabilities of easily managing all that environment. And again, providing a common platform for that. I mentioned I did a WebEx last month on FortiCloud, and it's something to certainly have a look at. If you haven't looked at FortiCloud, please do so. If you've got a FortiGate unit, you can actually connect it up, get it to register into the FortiCloud, or you can actually go in and set up a FortiCloud account and then pass it back to your FortiGate unit. It can auto-connect, and you can actually see all the services in there. So you can manage your FortiGate units, manage your Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi units, and your access points all through the FortiCloud service. Very easy to set up and very easy to get going. So please, if you've got FortiGate units out there and you haven't had any exposure to FortiCloud, just go and try it out. Let your customers try it out. It does actually enable you to do some other stuff in there. So then we've got the cloud offering. So the cloud offering is simply an access point. You take the access point, you go and install it, connect it up to the internet. It does a call home. You do need to set up a FortiCloud account, and you can then go in and you can change and set up the SSIDs. You can set up all the security policies in there as well. So your IPS, your AV, your web filtering, and configure what you want to do or how you want that access point to run as well. So it's a completely cloud managed, secure wireless environment that you're managing from FortiCloud. And as I said, I've got customers that have done this where they've actually got, for example, I've got a company that does heating oil distribution in the UK. They've got multiple sites, some 7 or 8 sites where they have, or depots effectively, there's no one actually resident on them. They have a truck driver drive in, he has a mobile device. When he goes into those, they've got cloud-based access points. It's actually used in that environment where they actually need to provide access and secure access as well. And it is the only the Fortinet cloud managed access points are the only or are the most secure, I should say, cloud managed Wi-Fi in the world, and that's one of its uniqueness as well. So we've got the IPS, the AV, the botnet detection, the URL filtering, and the application control, all managed through the cloud service and to the access point as well. How it's connected, you've simply got an access point. As I said, if you can connect it into switches, so you can have multiple access points. I've got a customer who's got a couple of these on the site, 5 or 6 of them on a single site location. They then connect out to the internet, and the cloud service provides all the management capabilities within that environment, and the actual access points themselves run and provide all the security services individually on the access points. If it loses connection to the cloud service, it doesn't matter. The actual access point carries on running within that environment. And we've got a number of different access points in there, and this again has recently been upgraded because I know we've got 322s and 323s in here now as well. So we have got a host of different access points. One of the things to note on the access point, if it starts with S, it's a secure access point. We do have non-secure access points. They start with a C. In other words, it is just an access point connecting into the network. To utilize the FortiCloud service, you do also need to sign up to a FortiCloud management service as well, so you can actually enroll and utilize the UTM functionality, so the IPS, the AV, the web filtering, etc. As well. And as I said, the cloud managed Wi-Fi allows you to set up and configure the intrusion prevention, antivirus, web filtering, and the application control within that environment. You can turn on and configure what services you want and how you want those services to run through the cloud service as well. So, some customer successes. I've mentioned a few as we've been going along. In the educational market, I've mentioned we've been very successful in the educational market with the infrastructure product. We've got high density, high number of students. So someone like Huddersfield deploying it out to 20-odd thousand students across the campus. And if you go into their canteen area, you know, when you've got a huge number of students coming into that, they can all connect into that environment. Some of the smaller areas as well. So we've also got some smaller customers, and we've actually done a number of implementations with customers around as well, with primary schools. So we've got a number of primary schools that have implemented FortiGate units with 2 or 3 access points in those environments. 2 interesting ones. I went on a trip on a Royal Caribbean ship about 3 years ago, and the wireless was absolutely hopeless. This was a contract that was won about 18 months ago, and Fortinet have been rolling out into cruise ships. And if you look at a cruise ship, it's quite unique. It's a lot of steel in that environment, so wireless is always been a problem within that environment. So Fortinet implemented the infrastructure product, and they're using it across the ship for phone conversations, room-to-room phones, for streaming, TV connectivity, etc. within those environments. So they've actually got it all set up within those cruise ships, and it's being used quite extensively. And the other interesting one is Bobbejaanland over in Belgium. This has got FortiGates in there with a number of access points around a theme park. And this is where Fortinet are using FortiPresence, something I haven't mentioned at all on the wireless side of things. The FortiPresence is actually able to actually tell you where wireless devices are within that network, and thus be able to guide people around the theme park. So people coming into the theme park have actually been told, don't go to that ride, it's full up at the moment, you've got a 15-minute wait, go to this one, you'll have a 5-minute wait. And that's allowed them to improve the use of the rides, increase ride areas where people can go and use them a lot more, and actually increase the number of visitors coming to the theme park because of the use of the technology as well. We've got training, so the NSE6 training is all available now as well. So on the wireless, you can do the Fortinet integrated cloud Wi-Fi training, and the Wi-Fi, the infrastructure wireless training as well. And this helps you get to your, if you want to become a specialist reseller as well within Fortinet. There is, as I said, there's a 2-day training course on the infrastructure and cloud, and there is a 3-day controller training as well. Just to finish off, we've got some promotions on at the moment. We've got controller-based solution promotion on the go, so you can upgrade from your older Maru controllers. So any customer's got old Maru controllers, we can upgrade them to the new Fortinet wireless LAN controllers. We can also trade up their older access points to AC-based access points. We've got integrated promotions on, so these are integration packs where you can buy a FortiGate 51E, a 60E with an access point or two, and we've also got access point packs, so you can buy 5, 15, 25 user packs. And this gives you the ability to go out and upgrade all your customers who have got FortiGate units but not using wireless on them. So if you've got 20 customers out there using FortiGate units, and you can convince them and go in and talk to them about what their wireless requirements are, you can actually buy for example, a 15-user pack, and you can use those access points to enable those various customers to upgrade their networks with the actual access points as well, and extend their wireless capabilities. And we've got some promotions around the cloud solution as well. And those promotions or discounts, we're discounting those products. Fortinet have actually got the promotions in place, and we can discount those products between 50 and 60% on the product, depending on what the options are that you're taking. And also we are discounting the licensing and support on 30% on that as well. So hopefully that's helped everyone in terms of the actual wireless offerings. So it's helped you in terms of understanding that. It is a growing market. If we look at the Fortinet and their offerings with their solutions, they are continuing to grow that market and spend the money in developing those products as well. And one of the things that makes Fortinet unique is they're not just providing wireless, they're not just providing security offering, but we're providing a complete high performance, secure access solution. So it encompasses everything from the actual the wireless connectivity and the actual security within that environment as well. So I don't know if there's any questions out there. Anything? Any questions from anyone out there at all? We're going to open the lines up to questions. I had someone send a question in a short while ago. I have a Maru controller and licensing. Can I upgrade to new APs? Yes, you can. That's something I covered off there briefly. So there is a trade out of old controllers. Some of the older controllers are not able to manage the newer access points. And some customers have wanted to upgrade their older access points as well, and also it does away with the licensing. So the licensing and the requirement for do renewal licensing on the old Maru licensing goes away. You just buy the control. I think, if I remember rightly, it's going to be on the FortiManager, FortiAnalyzer, and Zach is going to be covering off the technical side. So any of you guys out there, let your technical team know that we are shortly going to be getting off the ground with the technical overview session of the wireless stuff as well. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tim.
The one I passed, I should have failed. If he hadn't said that, I'd let you hit I was at T-junction on the hill, and I went for a car to pass for me to pull out, and I, not panicked, but my foot slipped, and I jumbled forward, so the car hadn't fully passed. So I'd have caused a collision, but it passed me. So I should have failed on the one I passed, and passing on the failed. I should make that fail all of mine. The first one was hilarious. I already told you, and she grabbed like the hand thing. I hit the corner. I was like, yeah, I failed. That was better. I couldn't stop shaking. My legs were shaking so badly. I couldn't control.